no way, shape, or form saying that Jameis Winston will not be the starting quarterback after the 2017-2018 season. He's going to be. He is going to be the starting quarterback until at least 2020 when his contract runs out. Unless he will more than likely even be the starting quarterback if the Buccaneers decided to fire all their coaches, fire the general manager, and bring in an entirely new staff who has no familiarity with Jameis Winston. He would still be their guy. I'm that confident about that. He is the franchise guy right now, and he's going to be the guy at least until his contract runs out. And that's even saying that they don't want to re-sign him, which I guarantee you they would probably want to re-sign Jameis Winston. However, I am making this video today due to a comment suggestion here by Rocco17171717 who said, "What about quarterback options?" ? And one of the main reasons I'm doing this video is because, one, I want to cover all my bases, and two, I want to show you guys that I do read your comments and I do listen to your suggestions. That being said, I am going to be giving you guys 2 videos today because I know a lot of people aren't going to be liking the fact that I am talking about this subject and even bringing it up because of how ludicrous it is. However, I do like listening to all your guys' comments, and I like exploring the opinions of all Bucs fans. I'm a very open-minded guy. So that is one of the main reasons I'm making this video today. Another comment I found funny was this: Ben McAdoo, I'll be your coach. Ben McAdoo, please stay away from this team. Never come here, ever. However, wouldn't it be funny if the Bucs signed him? But today, we are going to be talking about the Buccaneers quarterback options for the 2017, I guess you could say 2018 offseason, okay? Now, Jameis Winston is on contract until 2020, and he's making good money. Obviously, he was the #1 overall pick, so that will provide you with good money, and he's a quarterback, so he's getting a lot of guaranteed money. So our first option, naturally, is Jameis Winston staying the #1 guy in Tampa Bay. Now, I'm going to be exploring options of having Jameis Winston, options of guys coming in and being a #1 guy, as well as guys coming in and being a backup quarterback. When I say, when quarterback options is presented, we're not looking at just the starting quarterback position. The backup position is almost just as important, as has been proven this season by Jameis Winston getting injured and Ryan Fitzpatrick playing. The backup quarterback position is another insanely important position in the sport of football, and it's one that does very much need to be addressed. Mike Glennon almost made $8 million a year from the Buccaneers because they valued him that much as a backup quarterback. It's a very big deal. So, with all that being said, again, I do not think that Jameis Winston will not be the starting quarterback. Or, I do think Jameis Winston will be the starting quarterback until at least 2020. I do not think he's going anywhere. I don't think anybody will be brought in to replace him. However, I will speculate on it for all of those who feel that he is not very good. So, and I will be talking about certain aspects of that argument as well. However, Jameis Winston has a very good cast around him that can provide him with very good games. Mike Evans, Deshaun Jackson, Adam Humphries, Chris Godwin, O.J. Howard, Cameron Brate. I guess you could throw in Peyton Barber if you want. Maybe Doug Martin. I don't know. The offense isn't bad. His weapons are very good, in my opinion. He has had a bit of a lacking run game, and the offensive line hasn't given him help either, aside from Ali Marpet and DeMar Dodson. And I honestly do not care what a single person says. Our offensive line, minus Ali Marpet and minus DeMar Dodson, has not been good this year under any circumstances. Donovan Smith, I do not care what anybody says. Donovan Smith is not a good tackle in the NFL. He is right there with Eric Flowers in terms of his talent. He's better than Eric Flowers, I'll be fair, but he's not much better. He's not. And I know he could have some bit of talent. He's just not motivated. Then that means he's bad. That means he's bad. If he's like an Albert Hainsworth type guy, then he's bad and he needs to go. You have guys like Kevin Panfield on the left guard and Evan Smith, which those guys are career backups in my opinion at this point in their careers. They're backups. Kevin Panfield was the 5th round pick. Evan Smith was a center converted to a left guard. Those guys are backups. They'd be good depth, but that's as much as it would be. And I get it. The offensive line has had injuries this year. We've had Leonard Wester in there as well. We obviously have Caleb Benenoch in there. We have Joe Hawley in there as well. And I think Joe Hawley is an excellent backup center. But at the right guard position, we have J.R. Sweezy as well. And Donovan Smith, the Kevin Panfield / Evan Smith duo, and J.R. Sweezy, it's not good. And those three positions need to be addressed this offseason. And I really want to see what Jameis Winston can do behind a very solid offensive line, because I think that those turnovers would go down a very decent amount. And that's just me. He's literally the best thing at quarterback that the Bucs have had in a very long time, and possibly ever, in terms of the genetic makeup of what makes a franchise quarterback. Jeff Garcia was good, but he's not a guy that we had him late in his career, and he wasn't the type of guy that you were going to have as a franchise quarterback. Josh Freeman, a lot of people thought he was going to be the guy. Spoiler alert, he wasn't the guy at all. At all. It was bad. It was very bad what happened to Josh Freeman. I will say that he got kind of shafted by the whole Greg Schiano thing, but he still wasn't the guy. There's a reason he's not in the league anymore, you know? Vinny Testaverde was good. Steve Young could have been good, but then he had to go and leave and win a darn Super Bowl, so we haven't had it. Sean King was good. I'm throwing some old school names at you guys because it's been that long since we've had a guy who's been touted as a franchise guy. It's that big of a deal. Jameis Winston's that big of a deal in terms of pure raw talent and pure raw leadership. Jameis Winston's the guy. If things don't improve, however, I want to address this, okay? Because this is a lot of people's concerns. If things don't improve, Jameis Winston, his first 3 years, tons of turnovers, right? Deep ball accuracy, terrible. Turnovers, terrible. I could see a scenario down the line, 2019, even 2020 when his contract runs out, I could see a scenario where someone else is brought in to compete for that starting spot or replace Jameis Winston altogether if they decide they don't want to re-sign him. However, until 2020, I do believe Jameis Winston's going to be that guy. A lot of people have been naming this lately as their argument for Jameis Winston is terrible, and I'll talk about that real quick. 55 turnovers in 42 games. That's not good under any circumstances. I get it. You can make some excuses here. The offensive line isn't good. He's had to run around a lot, which is causing all the fumbles, which is causing all the bad throws. I will say this. Jameis Winston does try to make plays when plays are not there, and it works, I want to say, 20% of the time. You know, he has some flashy plays where he'll dance around and then chuck it up to Mike Evans, and it'll work. But a large portion of the time, it doesn't work. He'll either end up fumbling or he'll end up throwing a really bad interception, and everybody's sitting there scratching their heads. If Jameis Winston can't improve those things, then I don't know what to tell you, but I'm telling you, unless something drastic happens, I know the whole situation with the Uber driver thing, that's going on right now. Did Jameis Winston grope an Uber driver? Did he not? I don't believe he did, but if he still gets suspended for it, yeah, that'll present a whole new problem for the Buccaneers. What do you do then if you don't have your starting quarterback for 4 games? It's not like the New England Patriots. You can't just throw in somebody and, you know, we're very dependent on our quarterback. We don't have the kind of head coaching mind like Bill Belichick who can just make it work magically. We don't have that kind of staff. So if Jameis Winston's personal issues drastically change the scenario of what it looks like he might become, and if his play gets really bad, and I'm talking Jamarcus Russell level talents of bad, then yes, I could see a potential quarterback change before his contract runs out. However, right now, his first 3 years, he's on pace to become a Matthew Stafford-esque type quarterback, and that's not bad under any circumstances. However, 55 turnovers in 42 games is not good under any circumstances. And I know a lot of people have been saying, oh, well, Peyton Manning, you had more. Peyton Manning, Peyton Manning, Peyton Manning, okay, fine, Peyton Manning had more. But I can't really sink my teeth into a counter-argument that it just provides me with one example. If people can provide me with more examples down in the comments section below, I will gladly accept, well, okay, if these great quarterbacks had more turnovers than Jameis, then okay, I guess he's on pace to do good. He's still on pace to be a good quarterback, in my opinion. Again, Matthew Stafford, it's good. Matthew Stafford can win you a lot of games. He can lose you a few games as well, but if he can win you a lot of games, then that's good for me. You know, if he's Matthew Stafford, then Jameis Winston will be fine. But again, 55 turnovers in 42 games, not good. I don't care what anybody says. I can't defend that. I won't defend that. That's just not good. So, the chances of Jameis Winston staying the #1 guy in Tampa Bay, I will give that a 100% chance of that happening. He's going to be the guy for this next season, for the season afterwards, and the season afterwards, and then we'll see what happens there in the 2020 offseason. We'll see what happens. But as of right now, Jameis Winston's going to be the guy, and that's not even debatable. However, we can look at some starting quarterback options if the Bucs somehow it's decided to go with a different option. Again, not really happening in my opinion, but let's look anyway for those who are curious. So, what if the Bucs hired a free agent starting quarterback this coming up off season? Okay. Given this, let's just say there's a scenario where the Bucs don't, they're saying, oh, Jameis Winston, nope, not happening. We're going to get a new guy, okay? Well, who would be the guy's options? Who would be our options as Tampa Bay Buccaneers fans? Again, it's not going to happen. I can't stress that enough how much I feel none of this is going to happen, but let's speculate. So, they could bring in a guy right away who would be an upgrade at quarterback for the Buccaneers. Now, in terms of rating Jameis as a quarterback, I'd rank him probably 15th to 18th in terms of quarterback talent right now. That's not bad. He's definitely better than a decent margin, a decent chunk of quarterbacks. So, however, there are still some guys who could be brought in. For example, you have Drew Brees, Kirk Cousins, Sam Bradford, Case Keenum, Teddy Bridgewater, and Jimmy Garoppolo, who all have expiring contracts at the end of this season. Granted, I guarantee you that only a couple of those guys, maybe two at the most, I don't want to say two, yeah, I'll say two at the most will hit the market, okay? Drew Brees probably isn't going to go anywhere. Kirk Cousins maybe will go somewhere. Sam Bradford's going to hit the market. Case Keenum probably won't hit the market. Teddy Bridgewater, that one's very interesting. Keep an eye out on that one. And Jimmy Garoppolo not hitting the market. So that's interesting. There's definitely not going to be a lot of guys. There's two of them, probably two of them that'll hit the market. However, if you do decide, okay, we're going to sign one of these guys to be the new starting quarterback, that means that you're going to have to pay them starting quarterback money as well as Jameis Winston. That doesn't seem like a viable option to me. That would mean that Jameis would literally have to get traded to a different team almost immediately after the signing. So that's really how that would go, if let's say off season, oh, the Bucs signed Drew Brees, you would literally see like 2 days later, oh, the Bucs have traded away Jameis Winston to like the New York Jets or something. Oh, that'd be cool. Jameis Winston and Robbie Anderson, I'd like that. But we don't have time for hypotheticals. We do, actually. This is a hypothetical. But quarterbacks who could also get released from their contracts at the end of this season. A couple of interesting names here. You have Alex Smith. They have Patrick Mahomes in now, so he could very much be gone. You have Tyrod Taylor, you have Mike Glennon, and you have Eli Manning. Those are the four big guys who you could even hypothetically bring in to compete with Jameis Winston for his starting spot. And I feel Jameis Winston's better than Tyrod Taylor, better than Mike Glennon, better than Eli Manning. He's better than Sam Bradford. He's probably better than Teddy Bridgewater, and he's probably better than Jimmy Garoppolo. He's better than he's better than 6 of the guys I just named. I can count. So, again, the chances of this happening, guys, like a 1%. I'm being generous and giving it a 1% because I felt bad if I gave it a 0% chance. So, however, it's a hypothetical, okay? It's just a hypothetical. Now, this one's a lot more interesting. When we talk about quarterback options, we don't have to just talk about the #1 quarterback position. We can talk about the backup quarterback position, which right now is manned by Ryan Fitzpatrick and Ryan Griffin, okay? Those two guys are kind of like, they're both there. So, as I just said, Ryan Griffin's already on the roster and will never be the starter unless there's an injury to Jameis Winston and potentially Ryan Fitzpatrick, who they could possibly re-sign at the end of this season during the offseason if he decides he doesn't want to retire, which he might. I don't know. I don't know what Ryan Fitzpatrick's going through. So, what are our options at the backup quarterback position who could potentially compete for the starting job? However, it would be more than likely that they're competing for the backup spot. Well, let me tell you, there's a couple of options. Tom Savage being one. I'd love Tom Savage if he went to the Buccaneers. He would be, he's not going to get starting quarterback money. He's not. The market's not there for Tommy Boy. It might be there for like the Jets or something, but the Jets want Josh McCown back, who's another name who has an expiring contract. Jay Cutler has an expiring contract, however, he'll more than likely retire. Josh McCown will more than likely retire. Drew Stanton is going to be a free agent. A.J. McCarron, who would be an interesting backup. Tom Savage, like I said. Ryan Mallett, Matt Moore, Derek Anderson, and Chad Henne. However, Chad Henne might also retire. Those guys all have expiring contracts along with Ryan Fitzpatrick. We do have Ryan Griffin on contract until 2019. I did my research. But these are all guys who could compete for a backup quarterback position. Personally, if it was me, I'd probably want Tom Savage. Not because he's very good, but it's Tom Savage. I freaking love Tom Savage. He's cool. Another name that I would probably like, Matt Moore wouldn't be bad. Derek Anderson wouldn't be bad. AJ McCarron would probably be the best guy talent-wise in terms of backup quarterback. However, he'll probably go to the Browns and be their starter, to be honest. But, yeah, Tom Savage or, like, Matt Moore or Derek Anderson. Those three guys would be my ideal backup quarterback, or Fitzpatrick. One or the other. It really doesn't matter. But the chances of this happening, to compete for the starting job, 0% chance. I'm not even going to give this one a 1% chance. 0% chance any of these guys are brought in to compete for the starting job. They're all career backups. That's all they'll ever be. Chances to compete for the backup position, however, I'll give it a 35% chance. Definitely not out of the question. They could very easily keep Ryan Griffin. That's really what they wanted to do for a while. However, there was a reason that they signed Ryan Fitzpatrick to a deal. They might not be as confident in Ryan Griffin as they once were, and I could see them challenging Ryan Griffin's spot as the backup. It would be a fun preseason for me. I love the preseason, so it'd be an interesting thing. The next option. Now this one gets fun, okay? This one gets fun. Could draft a quarterback in the early round of the draft. Well, no, let me explain why this won't happen, okay? The Bucs have a lot of needs, mainly on the offensive and defensive line. That's the main one. So, if you spend an early round draft pick on a quarterback, I couldn't defend Jason Light at that point. I would say, Jason Light, what are you actually doing? Like, what's wrong with you? Unless the guy threw 50 touchdowns and, like, no picks. It's like, Jason, what are you doing? Unless, obviously, a scenario comes up where Jameis Winston is literally unplayable in terms of and unless something drastic happens where Jameis Winston becomes unplayable for the rest of his time with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, then yes, you would do this. Or yes, you would sign a guy like Kirk Cousins or Sam Bradford. Although I wouldn't like Sam Bradford. But yes, unless that insane scenario, that very unlikely scenario happens, then this isn't going to happen. But let's speculate. So you could draft a guy who would immediately be brought in to be the starting guy for the team. Maybe the GM sees something, who has traits that he believes would be an immediate upgrade over Jameis Winston, and maybe they decide to draft them. Now, the chances of this happening, I'm going to tell you right now, are 0%. This is so unlikely. But I want you guys to look. I want to give you guys some names just to look out for. Not necessarily for the Bucs, but for the draft in general. So the Bucs currently have the 8th overall pick in the draft right now at the time of the recording of this video, which is December 12th. So the current quarterbacks who are projected to go in the early rounds, which is round 1 and maybe leaking into round 2, you have actually a lot of names. It's a very like highly top. It's like a top-heavy quarterback draft class, but after that it drops off big time. But the top is fun. You have Josh Rosen from UCLA. You have my man Baker Mayfield. I love him. I love him so much. If Jameis Winston wasn't on the Buccaneers, I would want Baker Mayfield to be on the Buccaneers. I love him that much. You have Sam Darnold? I don't think I'm saying his name right, but you have Sam Darnold from Southern California. You have Lamar Jackson from Louisville, which a lot of people are saying he shouldn't be a quarterback. That's a lie. And you have Josh Allen from Wyoming. So those are all the guys who are not going to be for the. It's not going to be for the Bucs. I'm just telling you. But those are guys that you would consider if Jameis Winston was unplayable. However, these guys are all going to go to different teams. The freaking Cleveland Browns have the number 1 pick and the number 7 pick. They should just draft 2 of these guys just to be sure. Anyway, I'm running out of breath here. I'm doing a lot of talking this video, and we're at like 19 minutes. So, my last point here, okay? Now, this one's going to be interesting. And this one is actually a lot more interesting than you think. I've given you guys a lot of scenarios where it's saying, oh, this will never happen. Oh, this will never happen. And I'm right. The Bucs aren't going to sign a free agent to start. They'll sign a backup. I think they'll sign a guy to compete for a backup spot. I gave that one a 35% chance of happening. And they're not going to draft a guy early on. That's not going to happen. However, drafting a guy late to compete for the backup spot and maybe the starting spot later if Jameis Winston either insanely regresses or, again, his personnel issues come up again. You know, the whole Uber driver thing. That's what if more stuff like that happens? We don't know. So these are a couple of guys, and when I say a couple, I literally mean 2 These are a couple of guys that you could consider, okay? You could draft a guy late, you could groom him to eventually be competition for Jameis if they think that the prospect does have the ability to become that good one day, you know, as good as a former #1 overall pick. It could add some pressure on Jameis to fix his problems sooner rather than later, you know, his constant amount of turnovers and his very bad deep ball accuracy, but mainly these guys would be brought in to compete with a guy like Ryan Griffin, and they would probably beat out Ryan Griffin. However, I do want to state that it would have to be in either the 6th round or the 7th round for this type of move to make any type of sense, not feel like a waste of a pick. However, these two guys that I'm about to name, they're not necessarily projected to go in those rounds. However, it's names to look out for, just in case the Bucs use like a 4th or a 5th round pick on somebody. You have Clayton Thorson from Northwestern, and you have Luke Falk right here, the guy from Washington State. These are a couple of guys who could potentially be drafted and then groomed into a starting quarterback down the line. Just something to look out for the next couple of years. You know, you never know what's going to happen with Jameis. It's just something to look out for. But the chances of that happening, I really give it a 10% chance. If the Bucs do it, they're not going to pick one of the two guys I just mentioned. They're going to pick a guy I've never heard of. Or maybe do an undrafted thing like they did with the kid from Hawaii, I think it was. Sefo Liafu. I don't think he was from Hawaii. I actually don't think he was from... He might have been from Hawaii. I actually have no idea. But, yeah. So you guys heard it. My options. Drafting a guy late to compete for a backup spot and eventually a starting spot, I'm going to give that one a 10% chance. Drafting a guy early on to replace Jameis Winston, no, 0% chance. Signing a quarterback to compete for the backup spot or the starting spot. So hiring a free agent backup quarterback, you know, your Ryan Fitzpatrick, your Jay Cutlers, your Drew Stanton, Josh McCown, AJ McCarron, Tom Savage, Ryan Mallett, Matt Moore, all those types of guys, you know. To compete for the starting backup, to compete for the starting job, 0% chance. However, backup job, 35% chance. Might be a solid chance of that one actually happening. Hiring a free agent quarterback this upcoming offseason, your Drew Brees, your Kirk Cousins, Sam Bradford, Case Keenum, Garoppolo, Bridgewater, I give that one a 1% chance. Even guys like Mike Glennon, Eli Manning, Tyrod Taylor, Alex Smith, not happening. You might bring in Mike Glennon as the backup. That's the only thing I could see. Mike Glennon being the backup. I should have thrown him into the backup quarterback section, honestly, but I got that one at a 1% chance too. It's just, I was just being generous for that one, but that one's not happening. Bottom line, 100% chance. Jameis Winston's going to be our guy until at least 2020. He's going to be. And I know a handful of people aren't going to like that, especially after what they've seen this season from the guy, but he's the best thing we got going, guys. I'm sorry, but that's just how it is. I'm sorry you don't like it, but we just gotta roll with Jameis. We're rolling Jameis whether people want to or not. And personally, for me, I'm fine with it. I really don't think it's a big deal. I mean, yes, 55 turnovers in 42 games, not good under any circumstances. I will never defend that. I will never defend that. And I will never defend the offensive, or the guys that we have. It's, oh, Jameis Winston, or we have a solid offensive line. I'll never defend that. Besides Ali Marpet and DeMar Dodson, we do not have a good offensive line. Give Jameis Winston some offensive linemen. Give him a decent defensive lineman who can give him the ball more and, you know, not put him in crappy situations. May be pretty interesting. You know, we may see a very good Jameis Winston after this offseason. That's what I think personally. He's going to be the guy for a long time, so we're just going to have to get used to it. I mean, I'm already used to it, but for those who don't like it, they're going to have to get used to it. So, hope you guys all enjoyed this video. If you have any suggestions for more content, go ahead and leave it in the comments section below. I will be giving you guys another video tomorrow, probably. It'll probably be tomorrow, about another topic, which is why the Bucs should fire Mike Smith. Now, obviously they should. But you guys will see that video coming up very soon. I may even upload it today. I might give you guys a double header. So, we'll see. But I hope you guys all enjoyed today's video. As always, leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and leave a comment leaving your suggestions down below. As always, guys, my name is James, and I will see you in the next video. But until then, goodbye for now, guys.